All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. We have an awesome, special, beautiful guest on tonight, and I can't wait to hear her tips and all that good stuff. But I met her at Morgan Martin's. Sounds so weird still. I met her at Morgan Martin's wedding, and I was like, where have you been all my life? Literally, like, someone that I didn't, she's just super cool, you guys. So I can't wait for you guys to hear from her. But welcome to the Team Zoom. We do these every single Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern, so you can always count on these. It's always the same pin code. There's usually a special guest on, like Kelsey tonight, or it's just me, or it's somebody from our team that just promoted. And then right after this is our 10 o'clock Eastern family call live on Mark Pentecost's Facebook page. So I'm super excited for that too. And we'll try to maybe by 10 o'clock, we'll see. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll be done by 10. I don't know. We'll see. So Kelsey, just tell us, everybody's been so excited to hear you tonight. So tell us just your story. Like, why did you choose It Work? Where did you come from before that? You know the deal.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm super excited. And I talk a lot, so I'd be surprised if we were done by 10.
That's okay. That's okay.
So I actually got started 3.5 years ago. I was not really looking for it, but I kind of was. I was looking for something. I just didn't necessarily expect it to be this. And so I got started because I really just wanted $500 a month for hair and nail money. So I had a daughter in November, and my husband is a college basketball coach. And so I was literally just to the point where I was like, okay, it's like the middle of winter. Like, I feel fat. I feel like why can't I get my hair and my nails done to at least like to make myself feel a little bit better? And all the money that used to go towards that stuff was, after I started going back to work, was going to daycare. And I was literally like, this is like a second mortgage payment. Like, I did not realize this. Like, I knew the baby would take my independence and I knew it would take my body, but like the finance part of it was kind of tough because I think like with the body part, like you knew at some point you were going to get it back. And with the independence part, they get older and like you love them so much. So sometimes you don't even really want to be independent of them. But it was like the money part, I was like, this is not going to change for a really long time. And I just ended up like, I remember very vividly, I was driving through this really nice part of Indianapolis and I was like, who lives in these houses? Like, I am so confused. Both my husband and I got our master's degree. And I was like, this does not make any sense. Like, are not on track to get like that house or that house or that house. So what the heck are these people doing? I was literally telling myself, I'm like, I'll go knock on their house for like, be like, excuse me, what do you do? Like, I'm so curious to know. And he was like, maybe everybody just has like a side hustle. And I was like, maybe you're right. Like, and so I remember seeing this girl post about it and I was like, I'd watched her for a year, like just never thinking about joining. Like, I was like, oh, good for her. But you guys, I literally had thought that these type of things, like network marketing, I guess in general, which I didn't even know it was called that. I thought they were for people who couldn't get a job. I literally was like, oh, that's cute that they're doing that. Like, but I'm not doing it. And so the joke was on me, but I was literally like, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe I will reach out to her. But then the next place, like, God put this article in my lap. It said, the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. I was like, okay, I got to message her. And I was like, I don't need 7, but like at least 1, right? Like 1 extra one. So I ended up messaging her husband. It's Aaron Tweed who I enrolled with. And I ended up messaging her husband because I had known him briefly from college. And I was like, how much money does your wife actually make a month doing this? Like, real talk, no BS, like how much? And he was like, she makes about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And I was like, what? Like, is that like monopoly money? Is that product credit? Or is that like cold hard cash that gets like in a briefcase to your door each month? Like, what is going on? And he was like, no, like it just gets deposited into our bank account. And I was like, he was like, you should talk to her. And I was like, yeah, I need to talk to her. And just figure out like what's going on. And he's like, you'd be so good at it. And I was like, okay. But I remember telling my husband for the phone call, I was like, if this girl can make $8,000 to $10,000 a month, I sure as heck should make 500. Like, and So I got on the phone with her, and there were a couple things I really liked that she said, and she was like, it's $99 to start. And I was like, okay. I told my husband, and he was just like, well, I mean, it's weird that you have to pay to start something, but you literally like, you spend $99 every time you walk into Target. Like, just just make your money back, right? And so I was like, okay. And then I just joined. I was like, yep, I'm doing it. I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens. And then I was kind of like nervous at first. Like my first post was literally almost like apologetic. Like I was like, it was almost like, hey, I'm doing this. Like I'm not, necessarily sure about it, but I just wanted to try it. And I just had to work my way into it for like the first couple of weeks. And then once I got my first customer, because I didn't get my first customer for 3 weeks. And once I first got my first customer, I was like, dang, if I can do this one time, I can do this hundreds of times. Like if I can do it once, like why couldn't I do it again? Right. And so I just kept going and going and going. And like, I remember being like, Aaron, don't even post my executive promotion. I don't even post it. I'm going for freaking Ruby. And so I just kept going. Like I didn't know any different. So yeah, I remember thinking like, this girl is successful. Like I'm just literally going to be like her little prodigy and see what happens. Like whatever she tells me to do, I'm just going to do it. And 6 months later, I want to look up and see where my check is.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And if I'm not where I want to be, then I'll just quit. And cause she was like, give us a year and we'll change your life. And I was like, I don't know if I'm that patient, but I can go balls to the wall for 6 months. I mean, for 6 months I can do it. And 6 months later, I'd like earned a $10,000 bonus. I went diamond in 4 months, and then I was making about $4,000 a month.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. That's a lot. And that's, I had a girl on my team. She's like, don't post my executive post. Don't just wait. I'm going Ruby. I'm like, okay. That's awesome though. I never really knew your story. So I just had someone text me. I had someone text me and they were like, dude, her story. I'm like, I know. Keep so that's exciting, dude. And obviously, like, I think we work our businesses pretty differently. I mean, would you say so after hearing?
Yeah. I mean, I think like the part that's similar is just like the realness, right? Okay. But the part that's different is like I do most of stuff off social media because I had just moved to a new town, like right before. And you've never even heard of it. It's called Muncie, Indiana. I actually live in Yorktown, Indiana. There's a college here where my husband coaches, and that's like a lot of the population. But then that's it. And I did not know one single soul except for the people that I met like through his job. And the people I'd met through my job, because at the time, like when I joined, I was a mortgage broker. So I was doing stuff at like a local bank and all that stuff. So actually, I was so embarrassed. Like I'd forget a lot of stuff until I start talking. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this part. I was so embarrassed to like reach out to my friends when I first got started. And I just figured like, oh, they'll just come to me if they're interested, right? But I didn't want to reach out to them. And the first person I signed as a distributor was a girl that I blitzed who came in and filled out her mortgage application and was complaining about her money. And so I was at my full-time job and I was like, well, if you need a side hustle, and like I gave her my business card.
Yes. And that's having listening ears. That's having those listening ears, like, and not being afraid. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then like once I signed her, I was like, well, duh, why wouldn't everybody want to do this? Let me reach out to I didn't reach out to my friends, you guys. I was like, nope, I'm not reaching out to them. I'm reaching out to like the people who like I forgot were on my Facebook that like I knew from like second grade. Cause I didn't talk to them anyway. So if they said no and were like, you're weird, I wasn't losing anything because I wasn't like talking to them anyways, but like they knew me. And so that was like I call it like my lukewarm market, right? Like the people who knew who I was, but I didn't talk to them. So I didn't really care what they thought.
Yep. I have so many people that I've signed up that think they're like, dude, I don't want to ask my friends. I'm like, okay, eventually you will, but in the meantime, go ahead. Talk to the people that you're not worried if they say no. So I literally just want to know, cause you obviously kill it. You guys, she's a triple diamond, with the company. And obviously you just said social media mostly. So like, what are your top, cause I love social media. I could always use social media tips. So like, what are your top social media tips. Like, what is something that you, or tell us your daily routine. Like, you can kind of combine the two. So top social media and like your daily hustle.
So I'm assuming most people on here, like you're making enough to like, that's like an extra income. But I know that like a lot of my team is like, I want to start making income. That's like where I'm coming home, or where I have the option to come home at least. And so I'll tell you kind of my routine, like when I first got started, because I think that that's more applicable to people, because now, I mean, I do this full time. So I have, a lot like more open time to like be flexible with my schedule. So when I was the busiest, according to like outside people, I was working full time. I had a 5-month-old daughter. Shortly after I got pregnant, like with another baby, like my son, and they're 18 months apart. So she was like 9 months old when I got pregnant with him. And so I was like, and like it was not meant to be. And so one of the things that I'll tell you is like when I was working full time, I was actually probably the most efficient. One of the hardest parts of my business was when I transitioned to coming home, because even when I was in school, you guys, I had to go to the library to study, like, because when I'm at home, it's like there's laundry to do, there's dishes to be done, there's all this other distraction, and there's my bed. Okay. And my bed is very dangerous because it's all very comfortable. And so I'm like, okay, nap time. No, but really when I was working full time, I would set, I don't do good on the timeline, but I do really good on deadlines. And so I would say like, okay, by this time I've had to have done this. I don't say like at this time I'm doing this. I just say by 10 o'clock I need to do this. By 2 o'clock I need to do this. So what I did was before I went into work, I would post a motivational quote every single morning. Because my thing is that I want to be very positive. When people come to my page, I don't care if they're interested in this stuff. I just want to inspire them. And so I would post something very positive. I encourage you to use stuff with like light backgrounds because it brightens up your page. So if you have like the dark background with like white wording, it just makes your page look not as inviting and welcoming. But if you use like a white background, or you can create your own on WordSwag or any other apps, I use the white background. And so I would do that every single morning before I walked into work. I didn't care if I was late because it literally takes 5 seconds, you guys. You look on Pinterest, you can create your own. And I would just do something that was inspiring. I really wouldn't even put a caption. It would be like one emoji. It would be like, say it again for the people in the back, or amen, or something like that as my caption, because the words speak for themselves. And then the next thing I would do is on my lunch break, before I was like, I'm not eating my lunch until I do this. So my deadline was like before my lunch, I would post a product post. So this could be something where it was me using the product. It could be something where I was showing somebody else's results. And my biggest tip when it comes to product posts is only talk about a feeling. Never talk about message me and get 40% off. I have 5 spots open. Like, I try not to do that. I normally say stuff like, oh my gosh, look at this girl's results. I can't wait to see how she feels getting on her bikini. Or like talking about like a feeling, because people buy based on emotion. And so if you start talking about spots left or whatever, they're not feeling anything about that because they don't care about the spots left. What they care about is how these products are going to make them feel. Don't ever just post a picture of the product unless you're in the picture. Always try to be like in the picture showing that you're using the product, or be like showing a result of what the products have done for people. So I was like, I'm so excited for her wrap results. I can't wait to see her results after 3 more. And the full treatment. And then the last thing I would do is post a lifestyle post. Aaron Tweed always says, save your best post for last, because most people are on social media at the end of the day, like just scrolling on their couch. And so I would take a picture of whatever I was doing. And that's my family time, right? So like when I would get home from work, like I don't want to be on my phone all the time. And so my kid, she was young, so she would go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and then I would work from like 8 to 11. And my other rule is like, I don't bring my phone into the bedroom. I mean, I bring it in there, but I don't work in my bed, because that's like my intimate space with my husband. And so I don't want to like cross those boundaries. So I'll put like my phone not right next to my bed most of the time, so that when my alarm goes off, I actually have to get up because I'm a sleeper. So at night, I would just take a picture of whatever I was doing, and then I wouldn't post till my kid went to bed. So I would just have that picture ready to use when she was down for bed. But I would take a picture of us like together, or us going on a walk, like being like, oh my gosh, I love that I can work this business from anywhere. Like, I'm able to spend this time with my daughter and also talk to 3 girls about making extra income from their phone. Because the whole idea, you guys, is showing people that, hey, I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I'm just making income while I'm doing that. So post a picture of you drinking a glass of wine, watching The Bachelor, and being like, oh my gosh, I hate these girls on here, but it's so entertaining. And I'm able to talk to girls that I like about bringing extra income in, or growing their hair out, or losing weight for spring break, or whatever it is. So I would just show people that part of it, and try to just talk, like, be real about it. So that's what I did when I was working full time, and that's like my schedule. And then obviously when I was working at night afterwards, I would just start sending those messages out as well. 25 a day was my like my rule. Like, that's my bare minimum. I always say, like, you need to at least create, like, on your busiest day, what is the absolute worst case scenario that you're doing for your business. And then you need to create like a best day scenario and try to only have one worst case scenario a week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So like 25 a day, that's your number. Is that still your number?
At least no, that's not still my number. My number is about 50 now.
Okay. So it just doubled. So it doubled. That's awesome. Okay. And now, do you have people mostly coming to you, or do you message? So you message, right? I love hearing that, because that I do too. Like, I have to message when people say, oh yeah, everybody comes to me. I'm like, wait, but I literally have to send out 25 to 50 messages a day. And I love that. I love that I'm reaching out to people and building relationships. So,
well, I just think that, like, I've realized in this business, one of the most valuable things it's taught me is, like, the treat others how you want to be treated. It was applicable in grade school, but it's not applicable anymore because everybody's so different. And I know that I reach out to Erin, but not everybody's like me. And not everybody wants, like, when I need coaching, like, I need tough love. Like, I need people to like I need like some Eric Thomas who's like getting in my face and being like, get your crap together. Like, I need that, but not everybody needs that. And so the thing is you have to adjust and realize that, hey, even though you reached out, or, you know, maybe, but a lot of people think, like, I remember the first time it was so crazy to me was somebody was like, why have you not reached out to me? Did you not think I would be good at the business? And I was like, I just thought you would come, you know what I mean? It had nothing to do with that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she just doesn't think that I think that. And so I always try to make a point to, like, make sure people know how amazing I think they'd be at the business. And it's always genuine. It's not that I'm lying about it. Like, I really think there are people, and I'm pretty selective about who I reach out to. So the finding people to message probably takes me the longest. But the message is super simple.
Okay. So how many times would you say, like, how many times do you think you need to reach out to somebody on social media before they say yes? Or is it like do you have a pretty good one and done?
No. I would say, like, the follow-up, I go until, like, I get a hard no. Like, I don't care if people are ignoring me like 100 times. My thing is, like, I'm just going to follow up with you, because if you're not responding, you're still somewhat interested.
Yes, I do the same thing until you tell me, like, don't ask me again. Yep, I'm going to ask you, because I've heard so many success stories with people on stage that are like, dude, I had somebody in my inbox for 6 consecutive months and I finally said yes, and now I'm ambassador. And I'm like, okay, now I'll never stop asking until they tell me, like, do not.
Yep. And I think one of the other things is that sometimes people get embarrassed. They're like, oh my God, I did not even respond to her. Like, how am I even supposed to start back up this conversation? They don't know how to start back up because they're embarrassed that they didn't respond to you. And so when you keep messaging them, they're like finally one time they're going to respond, and they're going to, like, it's not, and it's all about timing. Like, had Erin messaged me, I would have probably just been like, I've never even thought about it. Like, I wouldn't even have joined in, because it wasn't the right timing for me. Like, you know, and it's not that they're not interested. It's just they haven't had that moment. And that's my biggest thing is I always tell people, everybody will have a moment where they look in the mirror and they're like, I need to lose weight, or I need to have more energy, or I need this with the products. Or they'll have the moment when they look at their bank account and they're like, this cannot work anymore. And you have to be the first person that they think of when that time comes. And they have to be like, yep. And I can't even tell you how many of my girls that have signed up have said that is their story. Is like, Kelsey messaged me, or I remember watching Kelsey and she had reached out to me. And then when that happened, when that moment happened, she was the first person I thought of.
Yep. Because you stayed. And I've signed up. Most of the people that I've signed up are follow-ups, obviously, but most of the people that I've signed up are people that are like, you know what, I didn't want to do this before, but, like, I'm negative in my bank account, or I just had a baby, or we just moved, or I want to move and I want to buy a house. And now I really, you know what, let's just, like, see what happens and see where it takes me. So that's totally true. And it's
And
like,
one of the other things that I try to do too is I try to set like a no goal. So have you ever read the book Go for No?
I haven't actually read it, but dude, that's been a thing forever. Like, go for no. Yeah.
Let me tell you that it's only like an hour and 20 minutes on Audible, like if you want to. And they even have a free one on YouTube. And it's literally, in the Audible is like $4. And it's actually the author reading it. But it's been one of the most impactful books, because one of the biggest takeaways I had when he said, if you're going for yes number, you stop when you hit that. And if you're going for a no number, you're always going beyond what the yeses are. I was like,
that is so good. That is so
and
good.
so like I remember when I was getting like in my head, because everybody gets in their head about like no's, and oh my gosh, they feel like they're the only one getting no's. And Erin was like, go for 10 no's a day, and I bet you can't get it. And I was like, no, I'm gonna get it. And she was like, no responses don't count. And I was like, okay. Literally, it took me 100 messages that day to try to get 10 no's, and I didn't even get it. Because like the hard no's, and when you go for the no's, it's like more exciting because you're like, finally, I got to know. Like, and I always tell people like the second best answer you can give me is no, because I don't want to follow up with you.
Yeah.
Like the second best answer, say yes or say no, but like don't just be on the fence, you know? And so when you kind of take the emotion and the personal attachment out of the no, like your business will explode.
Yep. Absolutely. Someone just messaged me last night and was like, oh my gosh, people are seeing my message and they're not saying anything. And I'm like, girl, do you want to see the amount of people that have seen mine and not said anything? Keep going. Like, that's okay. That's okay. I messaged
Dawn. That's our job.
Huh?
That's our job. Like, that's part of the business.
That's what we do. It's okay. That's what we do. Yes. So like, what does a sample, just give us like a quick blurb of like, what does your message look like to those that you really, cause I'm the same. I seek out people that I actually want on my team. So what would it look like?
I wonder if my text replacement will pop up on my computer. Hold on.
Oh, that'd be fancy.
That's not, let me see one thing. Wait, and I'll just send it to you guys. Okay. This is my message. It just says, hey girl, okay, so here's the thing. I make a full-time income off social media, and I actually ran across your page while looking for my next rock star that wants to make extra income from their phone. Your profile is amazing, and I think you'd be a perfect fit. Would you be open to hearing more about it?
Oh my gosh, that's freaking amazing.
And sometimes I'll just say like, girl, I want you on my team.
Yeah, that's it. I've literally sent that too. Like, girl, I've literally sent that same one. I'm copying and pasting right meow so that I
so like if you don't make a full-time income, just change that part to extra income.
Yeah. No, that's perfect, dude. That is so perfect. And then that is a really good message. That just goes to prove that like you're probably just overcomplicating it. Like that is all you have to do is like give them a compliment and ask them. Just ask. You know, if you're not making that ask, dude, the answer is always no. So
and one other thing that I want to add is like, you're never going to be remembered for the no's. Like nobody's going to care about the no's. And if you think about Michael Jordan, he has like all these records, but he also has the record for the most missed shots. And Babe Ruth, he also has the record for the most strikeouts. And it just goes like, nobody remembers that, like nobody cares, but like you have to know that it's not about that part. Right. And so don't forget that you, like you said, like Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And it's so true, but like it feels too simple, right? That feels too simple. And no, don't focus on those. Like, yeah, maybe have a no goal, but don't focus on those. Like we don't care. Like
don't
that's
get
why
caught up. Yeah.
When you do a poll on Instagram, it's like you don't put no because we don't care about the people who are no. You put two positives, right? And so the biggest tip I can give you when it comes to messaging is always end with a question, and always end with a question that doesn't involve a commitment. So always have like, are you just open to hearing more information, or have you heard of social media marketing or whatever? And like those are the type of things that I end with, because sometimes people feel like if they say they're interested, it means like be like, oh my gosh, like would you be interested? And you don't say like open to hearing more about it, then they think they're going to just get bombarded for the rest of their life. And there's like already a commitment. Like, I don't know. But if you just say, are you open to hearing more? It's not as committal. And yeah, they're just open to hearing more. And so I would say like, that's the biggest tip I can give you, because people don't know enough about it to say yes or no. And so don't involve a yes or no question. Like as far as like hearing more about it, that's super open-ended. Or would you be open, for me to give you some more information?
Yep. I love that. I love that. And I just sent, I end it with that too. I always end it with, would you be interested in, more info or hearing more about it? And last night I sent that to 100 people because I usually don't message 100 people a day. Let's be real. It's usually 25 to 50. I'm the same. And, but I went hard last night because so many people saw my story. So I was like, you know what? I'm just sitting here on the couch anyway. I'm just going to send it. So I did. And I scheduled three out of the, so let me I hope you're hearing this. Out of those 100 messages, I got 3 people on the phone. 3. So stop beating yourself up over the people that ignore or don't want, it's fine. But those 3 phone calls were amazing. And they were awesome. So, and then I have some more tomorrow. But so my next question for you is, what would be your next steps? Someone's like, yeah, I'm interested in hearing more. Do you get them on the phone?
Okay. So I just say this.
Oh,
so I market for a health and wellness.
Look at you.
I market for a health and wellness company that carries over 50 all-natural supplements, including cleanse, hair growth, weight loss, blah, blah, blah. I simply post about the opportunity and products through my Facebook and Instagram. We make money from orders of products and building our team, which is totally simple and consistent and working, especially because we are all on our phone anyways. Have you heard of social media marketing before?
Wow. That's awesome. So then, okay, because I'll admit, I get right on the phone with people. I do. And I love, though, that you do this. That's why I'm always open to social media tips.
And the thing is everybody's going to have a different way to do it.
Yes.
And you have to find what works for you. My biggest tip when it comes to this is do it for a month before you change it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest mistake people make is they just don't think it's working after 2 days. And I'm like, that's not a big enough sample size, bro. You need to wait a little longer.
Yes.
And so I send this and then they'll be like, I know a little bit about it. And I'd be like, okay, awesome. Can we text? It's so much easier for me because Instagram always messes up my notifications. And then I will, when I get their number, I will always voice message them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to chat with you. And that way they feel like I'm more of a real person. And they sense my excitement. And then I'll be like, do you have 5 minutes real quick just to hop on the phone just so I can save 7 years of text messaging back and forth. Mm-hmm. And they're typically some people will be more hesitant. And so if they don't respond after 15 minutes, I'll go back and I'll just be or we can text if that's easier for you. And give them that option. And so when some people don't want to get on the phone and some people don't. And so I typically will just go through voice messaging with them if that's what they prefer. And so you kind of just have to be adaptable to whatever they want. Because I also know, I know when I get people on the phone, I'll seal them. I'm yep, I already know.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I do it. And I prefer to get on the phone because it does save me 25 years of messaging. Mm-hmm. And I typically try to get on the phone with them, pretty quickly. And then the biggest tip I probably have with my phone calls is number 1 is making sure you're asking questions at the beginning.
Yep.
So I always say oh my gosh, girl, I'm so excited to hear or to tell you about how I got started in the business. Cause I feel most people are how did this person even find this? Mm-hmm. And get started. And then I also, but you're going to know more about me than you probably even care to by the end of this. But first I want to know what this business would do for you or what you're looking for just to make sure this is a good fit. And you guys, that asking questions will change your life because they are doing the convincing to themselves at that point.
I say that all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
They're literally yeah, I need extra $500 because of X, Y, and Z and X, Y, and Z. And I'm great. And then it takes then how to gear the conversation too. Mm-hmm. And how to feel okay, this person, I need to talk more about being a mom, or I need to talk more about how it can fit into the life as a college student, or I can and you can emphasize certain points. So I always say the same things. I just emphasize different things depending on what that person is going to. So then I just tell my story. You guys, if you just started, nobody cares about how much you make. They want to know that you are excited about it. They want to know where you plan on going. Okay. So you need to have confidence in that. And they want to know if they can make money with this. And if you can help them do that, that's it. So people are well, it's easy for you because you've earned all this money and bonuses and you're so successful. And I'm I don't even talk about that because they do not care. Mm-hmm. Nobody joins this business to make me money. They join it to make themselves money. And so all I talk about is what this business can do for them and how I can help them get there. How many, like if you guys went to college or even high school, you're like, yeah, I'm going to graduate in 2019. You don't even think about it. But you do not know for a fact that you're graduating in 2019, because what if something happened? What if this came up? What if that came up? It's the same thing. I'm actually going to start making an average of $500 a month because I'm promoting the Ruby this month. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Like, just don't overcomplicate it. And you're not lying. That's what your intention is on doing.
Yep. I love that. Dude, I love that so much.
The last thing is how I close the phone call. That's like,
yes.
Because people are like, well, how do you leave it? Like, it's awkward. Like, okay, great, you're interested, but like, what's next, right? So I always say, oh my gosh, I had so much fun talking to you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing your time with me. You're so awesome, and I would love to work with you. But before I go, I just want to ask you real quick, like totally pressure-free, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like, you're a creep, hang up the phone, or 10 being like, I'm ready to sign up right now. Where do you feel like you stand? And they're like 7. And I'm like, and I just wait. Like, it's an awkward silence. So just like 7. And I just wait, and then they'll explain it. Then they'll explain it. If you just wait for a second, they'll start explaining themselves, and they'll give you like their fears. And so that's what I kind of do is I'm just like, okay. Or if they don't, just say, okay, you're a 7, and they'll fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dude, we do the phone conversation the exact same way. Mm-hmm. I just told a girl today, I'm like, do the scale of 1 to 10 thing. They'll tell you.
It's awkward the first time. It's so awkward the first time. You're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Like, because like you've never done it before, but it's awkward to have a baby the first time. It's awkward to get married the first time. Like, it's awkward to do anything the first time. So once you do it though, you're going to be like, wow, that helped me out so much. And I didn't have to play the guessing game in my mind.
Yes. And you didn't have to feel bad for getting off the phone. Like, you know what? She probably would have joined had I just asked. And honestly, it's the question after the scale of 1 to 10. Cause I ask, scale of 1 to 10. Okay. And if they say like 9, dude, that means they're ready. So that next question this is where it becomes even more awkward is, okay, then are you ready to get started today then? And that right there gets my heart beating a little bit. I'm like, okay, all right, now it's official. And it's so satisfying when they're like, yeah, I mean, what do I need to do? Okay, yes, that was worth your time. Get on the phone and seal the deal. Yes. I love that. So now you get them started. What is like some of the first things you do for your new distributors to keep it simple and get them started?
So you guys actually caught me at a good time. So I just came home from Alyssa's leadership retreat, Alyssa Billiou, and Pam and Stephanie Dunn just spent like a whole day with us. And I was like, I never left either of their side. Like, if I wasn't with Stephanie, I was with Pam. And they were like, oh my God, like, get away from me. I mean, not really, they didn't say that, but like, I'm sure they were like, this girl following me around. But I'm just like, I was so hungry for like their knowledge and their information. And like, if you guys ever get around them, like, do not be like shy, like, soak up that knowledge. Like, you might not get that for a long time. And so I was like asking Stephanie all these questions, and she was like, so what I do is I actually want to get them their first win right away. Yeah. So I make them post almost like a host to post, like a cleanse host to post. And I was like, so I just did this for one of my new girls, and I was on a training with her. So I try to get on a Zoom like within 48 hours with that person. So when I sign them up, the first next question is, when do you have 30 to 45 minutes so we can hop on a Zoom and just get started your training so you can start making money. And then yesterday, so what I did, you guys, yesterday is I got this girl on a Zoom, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to send you the post that you want to post, right? And most of the time I would have been like, just post it like after we get done with the training. But what I did was I was like, I have to go to the bathroom, so why don't you just put it up now? And I just acted like I had to go to the bathroom, and I like got up and left for a second. And she did it because she like knew I was gonna come back, and she did it, and she got like all these messages and stuff, and she felt so much better. So like I didn't even have her put like a post, like a welcome post, or like, oh my God, I'm so excited I started this new adventure. I'd almost made her do like a host post, because for some reason, like when you are helping somebody else out, people are more willing to help you than if you're helping yourself like right away. And so I started, like, I made her do that, made her screenshots from conversations to me, and it went so well. And then the next day I just had her post like her welcome, like her excitement. I'm so excited I started this new adventure. And then I just am in contact with them every day for 30 days. And I told them there's like a direct correlation between the people who stay in contact with me the most and how much money people make.
Ooh, oh, that's a good one. All
Yeah,
right, so
there is.
you would literally just, because I agree, like get them in, get them making like their first win. I love that. I love that you called it
I
their.
don't even like go over product training or anything.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I just like don't want to overwhelm them, and they're so much more likely to do a training or to watch videos when they already have a win. And
yeah, that's
that's
true.
what Stephanie was saying. Like, I didn't come up with any of this. I'm not that smart, but that was definitely like her tip, and I was like, oh my god, that's so true. Like, yeah, why is somebody going to do a training when they're not even emotionally invested yet?
That's so true. That's so true. Okay, so you get
And
them
she
in.
didn't ask for the videos. She was like, you never sent me those videos. Because I told her I was going to send her the videos, like for training and stuff. Like I have a couple
Oh,
videos that I send. And normally like people don't even remember that I said that. But after she got like her first couple in, she was like, where are the videos? You never sent them to me. I was like, oh
you're right, girl. Hold on. She's probably a little bit green. That's so cool. That's so cool. So, like, okay, so you get them because I love this. I used to make it really complicated. Getting your
my.
distributor started. Yeah, I used to be like, okay, here's a list. Just stop. So you get them in. Now you're gonna do the whole like host to post, and then you get them on a Zoom. You said within the first 48
Yeah.
hours.
So I do get them on a Zoom. And on that Zoom, I just ask them like, and this is so true, you guys. I don't even think about any of this, but this weekend I learned so much. So they said, and I'd never done, actually, I did do a network marketing. I'd like joined Abacare and never heard from anybody. So I never did anything with it. Literally, I joined and never heard from one single person, never did anything. And that was it. But like I joined. And so, but I never like done a network marketing company before this. And so like we don't like realize how lucky we are. We take advantage, like we take for granted a lot of stuff. And they said there's not another company out there that has like the roadmap, like a chart that we do. So they're just out there and they're like, yeah, I just hit a promotion or whatever. And you can like kind of make your own charts. But there's no like actual real roadmap for like how much money. And so don't take for granted that like if somebody's like, I want to make $500, we know exactly how to help them make $500. And so that's what I do on like the first Zoom. I start talking about like, I almost like vision cast with them. So I don't really necessarily go over like any technical stuff. I mean, I will go over like kind of what I heard like I've recently started calling it like the core four, because I heard that from somebody, like the 4 things they should be doing on a day-to-day basis. So I call it the core 4, and I go over like generics of posting, messaging, following up, and adding to your network. That's like the core 4. And then I always add in being a product of the product and self-development.
That is so cool. All on your Zoom.
So my trainings are like never the exact same, because I do feel like you have to like vibe from people. Like you get a vibe of like, if they're overwhelmed. Like one time I was on the Zoom for 15 minutes and the girl was like, and I was like, okay, like, are you overwhelmed? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, then that's enough. Like you don't need to know everything right now. And so you can kind of like put it together, like kind of what's overwhelming. So like, and then I've had people that are like, I'm so hungry for all of this. Like, I know I want to make this amount of money. Give me all the information. So I will, like, I'll stay on a Zoom longer and I'll give them all the information. So really, I just kind of go over, and then there's people that are like, want to lose weight and they want to know about all the products. And so I'll go over that stuff. But really that's why, like, I just ask a lot of questions on this. And so I'm like, okay, so what do you want out of this? Like, you know, what do you feel like is going to be realistic for you as far as like how much time can you put into it? Alyssa has, I wonder where it is, but hold on one second. Let me go grab it.
Nope, you're good. This is so good, you guys. This is so good.
Okay, so Alyssa kind of came up with this new business partner success plan. And if you want, I can send it to you after this is over, but it's like a couple of like questions. Okay. So, and you don't even have to send this to them, but like, you can just say like, what attracted you to It Works? What are you most excited about? What are your financial goals in the first 30, 60, 90 days? What would your ideal life look like a year from now if you stay committed to this? What's going to change when you achieve this? What obstacles do you feel like might stand in your way? How many hours a week are you willing to commit to your business? How can I best support you to be successful? Are you willing to register for the next upcoming event? And what is your commitment level on a scale of 1 to 10 to what it takes to reach your goals. Now it's time to talk expectations and map out the roadmap to executive, which is your 30-day goal, and your roadmap to Ruby, which is your 60-day goal.
Wow. Oh my
So
God.
really, this is like, it's just like Alyssa's like super professional. Like she's like very business oriented, which I think people respect, but that's like the expectation and the standard that she creates for her business. And so I typically try to keep it to like the 3 questions of what do you want, why do you want it, and what's going to stand in your way. So you can also ask like how many hours, like a week or a week or a day are you willing to put into this? And what is your goal amount, and how long will you give this business to make that happen? Eric Worre said that. Like, it was like, how many hours are you willing to put into it? What's your goal, and how long, like within like days, months, weeks, like, are you willing to kind of do it to reach that goal? And you'll find, which is crazy, like I found that a lot of times, like people are like, I'll give it a month, and they want to make $1,000 in the first month. And so you have to adjust their expectations. And then sometimes people's expectations are too low. And people don't realize that full-time in network marketing is 10 to 15 hours a week, and part-time is 8 to 10 hours. And so it doesn't take that much to really dedicate like a full-time income to this. Like if you want a full-time income and you can work 15 hours a week, you'll get it.
That's awesome that you have that number. That's so cool. That's all good stuff. And I love Eric Worre. I freaking love him. He was like the first person I got into when I started, and he still kills it. I still follow him on Facebook. So, okay. All right. You have my wheels turning. That's why I'm like, all right. Cause now my next question is, okay, now they're in. So my friend, or not my friend. So Paige asked, how many days do you stay in contact with them? Didn't you say 30?
I do 30. And then like I base it off their needs. So even now to this day, there's some people that I know that I need to contact every day because they like want that support from me. So I have diamonds that I will. And one of the things that I learned was I felt like when I went diamond, it was kind of like, okay, you're good. Bye-bye. Like, and not that I couldn't contact Erin, but it just wasn't like the same like level of support because she knew that I could do it on my own, which I could, but it was just different. But you have to realize that every level, it requires something different. So when you like, if you go Ruby, your next step is Emerald. Well, you know how to get to Ruby. You don't know how to get to Emerald. Like, cause each level is going to require something more of you. You can't do what you did to get to Ruby and expect to go Emerald. Right. And so that's the biggest thing is, so at every level, like even my diamonds, like I give them a different support. Now it's not going to be like screenshotting and messaging like it was at maybe executive and Ruby, but it's going to be more of like leadership support and developing their leadership and like, hey, how do I handle this tough situation with one of my girls on my team? And so there are different developments at each level. So I don't ever just like say at this point, you're good. You don't need to talk to me anymore. But a lot of times people want that freedom, right? Craig Rochelle always says the 2 biggest things you need in leadership to give to people are number 1, permission to fail. And number 2, room to rise. And I know that when I first got started, I would suffocate people. Like I would not give them that room to rise. And that is so important. So when people start coming to me, and I learned this from Erin, when people start coming to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to Zoom on this, or let's do a Zoom on this. I'm like, okay, great. Put it together. Like I don't do it. Like if you have that idea, like you need to do it. And that stretched me so much. And so me to empower them that was like a big thing for me to learn.
Yep. Same for me. Cause I do love my team, and I've had to learn that, like even Katie Bevington, you know, she just promoted to presidential last month. She was like, Kim, I literally spend probably 15% of my time on my team. And I'm like, she goes, seriously, they become just everything you said, basically, is what she said. And I'm like, that's so true. And I'm not saying that I spend 50%. I'm not coddling, but I will, jump to my phone and be like, okay, but then I had to learn step back because like I have to recruit new too. I have to work on my enrollments because if I don't, my team's not. So, I mean, your team does what you do essentially. So
yeah, one of the things too that I'll say, like speaking to that is, if the name of this game, you guys, is developing leaders. That's it. Like if you can develop leaders, you'll make a lot of money in this business because I'm not a mass recruiter. I do not like enroll like 50 distributors a month. I have like limited spots. Like, and I say that, like, I'm not saying that just to say that, like I'm saying that because I do, because I know how much time I spend with each of those
Mm-hmm.
people. And so if you want to develop leaders, the biggest tip I can give you is to spend time explaining the why. So if somebody says, okay, like what products would you recommend? I don't just say, I would recommend ThermoFit and Keto Coffee. I say, like, I would recommend ThermoFit and Keto Coffee because when you think about it, like if they want to boost their metabolism or lose weight, like these two products would go really good together. And like, I spend the time. Or if they're like, oh my gosh, how do I handle this situation? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you handle a situation like this because you don't want to make this person feel like that. Or it's really good because if they're feeling like this, like you might not know what they're going through. Or people will ask like, oh my gosh, this person's ignoring me. Like, what do I do? And so like, I'll always explain the why behind what is the answer I'm giving them.
I like that. I like that a lot. Your tips are fire. You would think I'd never been in It Works before. I'm like, yes. Oh my God. Yes. That's great. That is great. That is
I know.
great.
I feel the same way, but I love like that you're open because I think
Oh, heck yeah.
the biggest thing that siphons people, and it happened to me for a little bit too, is like you get to like a certain point where it's like whatever your level of success that you think, like you define success, and you're like, I'm a rock star. Like I know exactly what I'm doing. Like I don't need any help. And you don't realize that like, no, like you need to humble yourself because there's always more things that you can learn, but you still need to remain like authentic to what's true for you.
Yep. There's always room for improvement. Always. Yeah. Like you're never going to know everything. Pam Souter don't know everything. And she knows pretty darn close probably, but she doesn't know everything. Like she's amazing. And so my next question pertaining, and then I do have a couple more like I want to hear about your trip. Like, cause I watched that and I'm like, oh my gosh, Pam and Steph, like I've met Steph and Pam a couple times, but to be there like you were. So I'm gonna ask about that in just a second. But my next thing is, okay, so you're not a mass enroller, which I love because I'm not either. And I remember, why am I just forgetting her name? I just forgot her name. Aspen.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry, I don't know why I just forgot that. So Aspen was on stage one day at one of our OTOMs in Grand Rapids. And she was like, you guys, when I joined this business, and Mark told me that basically we help our teams, like we encourage our team to fill out their steps, which is 3 new distributors, 4 new loyal customers every month. She said, your team can do that every month. She thought that was a lot of people. And I'm like, that is so cool. She was really successful in her past network marketing business. And she thought 3 distributors and 4 customers was a lot. And I'm like, that is so cool. You don't have to be signing 10 million distributors a month in order to be a Kelsey. You don't have to. So I love that, as long as you're treating them like people and you're really getting them started in being a friend first. So my next question, I'm mostly curious about this too, is when you have a team and they're not local to you, what is like your top tips to just, hold on, I want to read exactly, because one other person said it too. Yeah. So how do you start off a new distributor that doesn't live near you? So long distance love. Like how do you?
Well, I don't have any team that's close to me.
Oh.
No, I don't have a local team.
Okay. Okay.
Like the closest people that I have are like 4 hours away.
Wow.
And like I've had local teams before, but they're not like, I guess like a big part of my team, I should say. So I don't know, like I just don't overcomplicate it. Like I just treat them like they're my friends. So I basically will just call them randomly. Like if they text me a question, I'm just calling them.
Oh.
Like I'm just like, hey, what's up? Because there's so much power in just the what's up, because you can develop like a true relationship with them instead of just having it so like business. And so like, for example, if somebody's like, oh, how do I redeem my shopping spree? Like I will call them like right away if I have like that time. And so I'll call them and I'll just be like, oh my gosh, girl, how's it going? Like I got your text message. And they're like, oh, it's going good. I'm like, what did you guys do today? Like whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, my daughter's been sick, or, oh my gosh, we went to the zoo, or whatever. And then like next time I'm at the zoo, I'll send them a picture and be like, oh my gosh, like we're at the zoo today. Or like you build like that rapport just from those like little 2-minute interactions. And sometimes my phone calls are like 4 minutes. Like we're just chatting and I answer their question, but like I gained something from that phone call that I couldn't have gained over a voice message or text. And so like next time if I'm like, oh my gosh, how's your daughter doing? And I always use people's kids by name because they're so much appreciated. And then when they know that you like care about them as people, it like then they know that you care about them and you're always like have their best interest in mind. So my husband always says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so it's so important that you teach people how much you care. And that is like a lesson that you have to teach them. Like, it's not their job to just realize that you care. It's your job to show them that you care.
Yes, that is so good.
So I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I do. And I don't really think about it. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, we're at a deficit. Because sometimes I think that if I did have a local team, I would feel so much more obligated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, meet up with them or do things. And then, yeah, do I wish I had that sometimes? Absolutely. But like, our time together is so much more special when like I have a girls flying in from Arizona, or I drive 4 hours to go launch their business in Ohio, or whatever. Like, they appreciate that, and it's so valued that it's really good. So I don't necessarily feel like it's a disadvantage. And also, like, utilize FaceTime, utilize Zoom, like utilize like those 5-minute breaks that you have.
Yeah. That is so good. That is so good. Because I'll admit, that's a good tip. Like, I have a lot of like long distance team, and I do mostly like, okay, well, there's Zoom, but picking up that phone, that's huge. That is huge. And I used to be so anti-phone, and that's all I preach now when you have like one-on-ones. But to do that with your team, that's a good one. Because
and it's not even like it all has to be a training. Like, it's just maybe answering a quick question.
Yeah.
Or it just, and like, I don't necessarily just call. Like, I mean, I always pray to like put people on my heart that need to be talked to. So like, I go off like that feel of like, oh, I haven't talked to that girl in a while, or, oh, like I saw this person pop up on my newsfeed. Let me call her today and just see how everything's going. And the one question that changed my business is, how are you feeling about your business? Not how is your business going? Not how's everything going? How are you feeling about it? Because the feeling is so true to their heart that it's like, yeah, the volume might be going up, or they might be enrolling, but like maybe they feel like their leadership is lacking, or maybe they're feeling something different, that it's not necessarily like an on paper thing of like enrollments or, whatever. So I always say, like, how are you feeling about your business? And if it's a new person, I always offer suggestions for how to answer. So I'm like, are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling, really good? Are you feeling excited? And like, I always give like different, like, so I want them to know, like, it's okay to feel frustrated. Like, that's normal. Like, you don't have to put on a face for me and be like, yeah, everything's all great and dandy, when it's not. So I always give them the option to say something like that they're struggling with or that they're going through.
I love that. That's good. That's good. Like, I've never had a Zoom go longer than an hour, but I'm digging this. So anyway, I have another question. Like, your tips are so good. Your tips are so good.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And they're straight to the point, and they're not anything crazy. That's why I love them. So they're not like, oh, she can do that, but I can't. So that was cute. But they're so good. So what would you say to someone that has been in the business and they've hit major highs and they've hit lows, but they've been in for a while and they're feeling a little bit lost, a little bit stuck, a little bit like, why haven't I done more than I know I'm capable of? Well, like, who just desperately wants more runners, who just desperately, like, who does the things, who attends the events, who does the things you're supposed to. What would you, like, just show them love for the people on the recording?
The first thing I would just say is, you're going to get there and it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to get there. Like, you will get there. Mm-hmm. The next thing I would say is, you probably haven't reevaluated your why. You probably haven't had a strong enough why. I know that was something that I struggled with, is like, oh my God, I'm making, like, especially when I hit like 10,000 a month, I was like, I'm making $10,000 a month. Like, what else could I want? Mm-hmm. And so get around people who are dreamers. And if they're not, like, if you don't know who those people are, make like Eric Thomas your best friend, make like visionaries your best friends. And, ask, like, just really start dreaming and spend time, like, investing in yourself to find those things. So Erin always says, like, and I always like use some of her quotes because I don't even know if they're like hers, but ask yourself why like 5 to 7 times. So if it's like, okay, when I first started, she was like, how much money do you want to make? I was like, $500 a month. And she's like, why? And I was like, because I want to get my hair and my nails done. Why? because I want to feel and look pretty. Why? Because it's important for me that I have like self-esteem and that I feel confident and I want to feel like I'm contributing. Well, why is that important to you? Because, well, I saw my mom who was a stay-at-home mom and I didn't feel like she necessarily contributed as much. And I want to be a financial partner to my husband and all these things that like I really didn't even know. And it took me time. Like those weren't like bang, bang answers where they were just coming out of my mouth, but I really had to sit there and think about it. So get to the core of that. Like get to the part where you're like, I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't even know that was really why I wanted that or why I want, that. And it has to be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
It 100% has to be selfish or you will not bust your butt. There will be no urgency. And that probably sounds really bad because it's like, oh, I did this thing one time and it's not that I regret it. Okay. So I did this thing where, and I love the idea, like I'll probably do it again, where basically I asked my team at the end of year in like December, I was like, what are your guys' goals for the next year? Like your biggest goal, tell me one of your biggest goals. And I put their dreams on my dream board. Okay. I put their dreams on my dream board and I was at the movers and shakers thing, like not this green carpet, but the last one at Pam's house. Okay. And I went up to her and I was talking about it and she's like, do not do that. And I was like, what? And she was like, no, they need to see you mark your dreams off.
Oh, that's true.
You don't need to worry about their dreams. You need to worry about yours because they're going to follow. They were like, do you think that the like mother hen or like the mama goose, like she doesn't stop moving because she's checking on her kids or her little, like she keeps moving and that's how they keep moving.
Oh, that is good.
And I think that that's like the selfish part. Like we all want to be like so humble and so like not like whatever, but it's like, no, it has to be selfish because that is why like, and it's not even selfish. Like that's like, it feels like it's so negative, but it's not like, it just has to be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to be like that moves you deep inside of your soul.
Man, I like that.
And I would just make sure that like, if you just kind of feel like, oh, like it's just like the same thing. Like I'm doing the same thing. It's like, you have to fight to figure out what your next thing is, what your next goal is. And it might not be like money. And it might not be like for me, like I am driven by money, but it's not money. Like Pam said this weekend, she was like, because I was like so hyped. I was like, I got a huge raise. I was like so hyped when prelims came out, all that stuff. But it's not about the money because I was telling her, I was like, it's not necessarily about the money, but like when my money goes up, I know I'm on the right track. And she was like, yeah, it's like an adult report card.
So many good things.
And I was like, yes, that's exactly exactly how I feel. Like it is like an adult report card where you're like, yep, you were doing the right things. Keep going. You got an A. Like, okay, keep going. You got like, and that was like so true for me because I don't want my check to go down, not because that money isn't good enough for me. Like, right. Oh, poor me. I made only $15,000 instead of 18. Like, oh, poor pitiful me. Like that sounds so dumb, but it's not even about that. It's about like, oh, I need to change something because something went down from last month, what was working. And that, because I did feel, like I said, I felt guilty for a while. Like I felt guilty. And so that was kind of like an aha moment for me when she said that this weekend. And so I am like motivated by, like, I want to feel like what I'm doing is significant. And so I'm motivated by like rank and I'm motivated by promotions. And it's not that it's my identity. Like I will never put up like on my page, like on my profile picture, like I'm a triple diamond or I'm a presidential diamond because that's not who I am. Like first I am a child of God and that does not have to be earned.
No.
And so if I fail at getting presidential, that's okay because I'm still a child of God and I didn't have to earn that title.
Yes.
It was a privilege. And so that is not my identity, but I am driven by that. Like I am motivated by that. I am inspired by doing those things because I know that will help my influence, which can help the kingdom of God.
I have nothing. I have nothing. No, I have more. Okay. So that was so good. And you totally nailed that question more than I thought you could. So it took a long time for me, a long time. I've been in this business, almost 5 years. And I realized I watched my income go up, and it was when I started really, really dreaming, like really, really thinking about what specifically is that dollar amount going to do for me. And just the thought of just, I mean, the simple things, guys, paying my bills ahead of time was like, whoo, I'm going to go message 100 people because that gets me excited. Like, I did the whole, but why, but why, but why, but why, but why to myself. And it helps so much when you wake up with that, like with that in mind. You wake up with that in mind, and you
You
just
write it down. Like you have to write it. So one of the things, I'm going to interrupt you just because I will
no,
forget if
no.
one of the things I forgot to add that was like an aha moment this weekend too. I have so many. I need to like write them all down before I forget. But Pam was talking about like, okay, while you accomplishing your dreams, how much it affects other people's lives. Like you're doing it for you, but like the ripple effect. And so she was saying like, so she bought her house, right? And then she bought, or like her daughter bought, like Kay bought her house, and then Mark bought the island. And they she referenced the realtor that she used to each of them. And she was like, do you know that realtor, how much that realtor's life has changed? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And then she was like, and then the realtor messaged her and said, did you know, like, because of the business that you provided for me, my husband has been able to like start his dream of like opening his own construction company. And that construction company is one of the like most reputable construction companies now that like runs their business with such integrity in Sarasota. And she was like, and that was all from me being able to dream. And I was
Wow.
like, I didn't like, that was so mind blowing. Like to me, I was like, why haven't that's so like such a true concept, but like, I didn't even think about it that way. And so like, you don't realize like how much that like you're influencing so many other people, and like that ripple effect can create.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The ripple effect, literally the ripple effect. That is mind blowing. I would have never thought of that. Like, because I did feel guilty. I've even told my upline Courtney. I've even told her like I sometimes feel a little bit bad for saying I want a steady $20,000 a month. Sometimes I'm like, but God, but God, do I need to make? Do I? But then I'm like, no. The amount of impact I can make with $20,000 a month or more. I plan to be Black Diamond. Like that is going to help families and people, and it's God's money. It ain't mine. Like that's God's cut. That's not mine. So I have to just remember that like the amount of people's lives, heck yeah. And even just thinking about, yeah, the realtor, that's insane. Yeah, dream big so other people's lives are impacted. That is crazy. That was good.
Like, you're not doing your part, because the dreams that we have are from God. And if you're not honoring those dreams, he didn't give those dreams to anybody else but you. And if you're not going after those dreams because of some society like standard that was put on you and pushing you down of feeling guilty, right? Like that comes from society, that comes from other people, like that comes from just the negativity. But like the love, like if you have all that love, and if God is entrusting that dream to you, if you're not honoring it, he's going to give it to somebody else.
You're punching me in the stomach right now. Like you're punching me in the actual stomach. That is so true. And that is so good. And I've seen the enemy, because yeah, God's given me some pretty great dreams. And I've seen the enemy try to stop every single like footstep towards reaching those dreams, and just getting through that, just getting through the enemy and knowing that like you can. And now I'm just like, I feel like I'm just talking to you now, but it is like the enemy's going to have something. He's going to want something to do with it too. And you just have to keep and keep and keep and press. Dude, your tips are so good. So like what was, yeah, Paige is like hands in the air. Yes, that's so good. That's so true. That was probably my biggest takeaway from this is that, yeah, if God gives you that dream, like if you're thinking those thoughts, run for it. He'll give it to somebody else. Like he did that.
I know when somebody said that to me this weekend, I was literally like, I need to do it. Like I have so many thoughts that like I haven't done. And like, how would you feel if like that idea that you had that was given to you and you didn't act on it? And he was like, well, I gave it to you first, but, and Mary Beth was there and she was telling me that in songwriting, that's like an actual thing. Like people talk about that all the time. Like if you're given a song idea, like it's so often that like somebody else will have that same beat or those same lyrics or whatever. And she was like, and one of these worship leaders, like in a church, he was like, God told him, he was like, I gave this to somebody else, but now it's yours because they didn't do anything. And he was like, I knew that I was God's second choice, but I didn't care. And I'm honoring that.
Oh, that's so good. Makes me think of I Can Only Imagine. The song. Have you watched the movie I Can Only Imagine? Have you watched the movie? Oh my gosh. Just watching him. Oh my gosh. That reminds me of the song that he created. Like that made his whole career. So that is so cool. And like, what was it like to be, I mean, cast a vision. I'm going to read this because this is good. Hold on. Okay. So cast a vision. Can you cast a vision of what we have our hands on, especially because you were just with Pam and Steph? So you've seen so many people become millionaires. So can you share with us how that puts a fire in you and proves what's possible? So just like answer that if you can. That was a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, no. My vision is so much bigger after this weekend. So my vision is that the average ambassador income is going to be what Black Diamonds make. My vision is that Steph is going to start making like $500,000 a month. And then like the average 32,000 is going to be like what an average ambassador makes. And this is probably going to happen like within the next 5 years. My vision is that It Works is going to be like the next Amazon. Like they are going to be like 2-day delivery. Like there's robots that are delivering our crap, like, and like to the doors. And like, there's going to be, like just It Works, like is literally going to be like a household name, like, because it's not yet, it's not a household name. And my vision is that the impact that like Mark and Cindy and Cammie and all of corporate, like we're going to be like some of the biggest donators to charity. We're going to be like a World Vision. Like if you've ever heard of like World Vision and like feeding like thousands and thousands of people, like that is going to be like what like It Works is known for. And I also just truly believe in who our company is more so than what it is. Does that make sense? Like our, like who It Works is it is so much important than what it is. And so I also think that like doctors will start talking about like It Works products. Like I also believe that. Like I also believe that people are going to be like, yeah, have you heard of like It Works? Like instead of recommending like over the counter stuff that you can get at Walmart, they're going to start like recommending like It Works products to people. It's not going to like, it's obviously not going to be like prescription, but it's going to be like that. You know, have you heard of the It Works cleanse? Like if you have IBS or something, like, have you heard of this? Like there's going to be doctors talking about it. So that's like kind of my vision. I don't know if that was like answer your question, but
yes, it did. And it's just cool to hear you spout all that off. Like that was good. And like, do you want to be a part of that? Or do you want to be the person that was like, well, it didn't happen quick enough for me, so like I'm out, and then you're watching from the sidelines and you're like, crap.
So if you haven't watched this sermon by Michael Todd, it's called Planted, Not Buried. And Michael Todd is a pastor in Transformation Church in Oklahoma. I'll send you the link so you can like post it in your team page or whatever.
Thank you.
But it changed my whole perspective on it, because I'm going to see if I can find this picture. Hold on. He puts this picture up like during the sermon, and let me hold on one second. I can't do like 5 things at once. So
me neither. Me neither. These are such gold tips.
Okay. So if you look at this graphic, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but maybe you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you start as like the seed, right? So much growth has to happen beneath the surface before anybody can see anything on the surface. So like, and he said, and if you grow to like this flower, right, and you don't have the roots that happen, nothing's going to hold you down and you'll just fall over. And so
little pictures like that are so inspiring. Yes.
And he calls it planted, not buried, because he says the very place that like the same way the seed is planted is the same way we're buried. And so oftentimes when we're planted, it feels like we're being buried. And it feels so hard, and it feels so dark, and it feels like we can't like move past it. But really what he's doing is growing us beneath that. And he's growing those roots, and he's building our integrity, and he's building our honesty, and he's building like what we're standing for. And that was so powerful to me, because I think that so often it's like, we're in a microwave society, right? And God is like an oven, crock pot God. And so there are so many things that he has to do to keep us like planted and to keep us buried, like not buried, but planted. Like, and sometimes that can feel painful and that can feel hard, but when it comes and when that growth happens, there is nothing that's going to shake it. Like, it's unmovable. And that, like, the roots are so deep and they're so wide that no matter what happens, nothing can rip you out of the ground. And so for me, that's the way I look at it, is that I'm always running, and there's different seasons in your business. There's different seasons when your roots are growing. There's different seasons when you're like, what people are seeing is growing. And it's like, you know, and he even gives these examples. It's so crazy. He even gives these examples in the sermon. He's like, you know, when you're that little seed that's being buried and all this stuff is happening beneath the surface and you know it and you feel it in your heart, but then somebody else comes and says, oh, you're started that little business. That's so cute. Like, you know, like whatever. And they say like all this crap that's so discouraging. And then you're like, oh my God, maybe this is dumb. Like, maybe I'm not even making money. Like, why do I feel this? Like, and you question yourself. Just trust yourself. Like, it is going to happen. Like, there is nothing different about me. Like, I am not like some special human that's like, oh, I have all these secret powers or these secret messages or whatever. Like, I started off like, just like you, I have 0 customers, 0 distributors in my e-suite. And all I did was just continue when it got hard, and just continue and just continue and just continue and just go and just go. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it works. And, you know, when you get to the top or whatever success is, when you hit one of your goals, you weren't at the top because of a lot of successes. You're at the top standing on a bunch of failures, a bunch of failures. And success is not made up of just a little successes. Success is made up of a bunch of failures. And that's part of the process. Like, don't view failing as like a bad word. There's a big difference between failing and being a failure.
Yep. That is not a naughty F word. True story. It's true. Man, this was good. Like, this was so good that it doesn't.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
No, this is so good. I don't even feel like it's 10:47. Like, how I don't know how. And I'm just so thankful for you. Is there anything that you want to add or anything? You gave so much good stuff.
The last thing I would add is, don't worry like about the money as much as who you become. Don't worry about what you get as much as who you become, because that is so much more long lasting and so much more impactful. And just realize that every day, like, you're building your house, right? Like, every day, like, what do you want to live in? And what are you willing to do to build that house? And it's like a brick by brick process. And so, like, on my dream board, I have things, right? Like, I have family vacations and I have like whatever, but more than what I have up there is like servant leader, empowering, honest, passionate, bold. And so, like, that is on my dream board, as well as like the financial goals and all that stuff. But if you do that, you will get the other stuff. And you'll be so much more prepared to have it, and it will feel so much better than if you don't. So that's like the last thing I would say.
And that was freaking beautiful. And that was perfect. Like, hold on. I wanted to say something to what you just said. Hold on. Oh, yes. For instance, I had Eli and Trista Manning, right? Eli Manning?
Marshall.
Yeah. Marshall. Why do I always call him Eli Manning? Because that's
a quarterback. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. I don't do sports. Everybody always goes, you said it wrong again. I'm like, yeah, sorry. Anyway, Eli and Trista Marshall had them on one of my Zooms, and he goes, Kim, like, you found God because if it works, right? And I said, yeah. And he's like, you already won. That, like, okay. If you get nothing else from this, like, you won. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. But like, let's keep going. But that's so true. And so that's so true. It's who you become. Like, I always, on my phone calls, I always say, yep, the money's cool. It's awesome that I get to do this from home and be with my kids, but like, who I've become is the best part of what this company is.
And one last thing, like, you're provoking all these thoughts in my head, and like, I know this has been so long, but like, I'm so sorry. I told you I talked a lot, so at least
I love it. I love it.
Okay, this was so powerful to me too. So John Maxwell talks about the vision gap, right? Like, it talks about like this is where you are and this is where you want to be. And there will always be that gap. Like you'll hit a goal and then you'll create a new one, and you'll hit a goal and you'll create a new one. And there will always be that vision gap, right? But often we forget about this one. This is where we came from and this is where we are now. And that's the gratitude gap. And so there's the vision gap and the gratitude gap. And so it's so easy to be like, oh, I'm not there yet. 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 And forget about, oh, look how far you have come.
Yes.
Like I didn't hit my goal of prez, but look what happened this month.
Yes.
Like, so remember that even if your business, you're not like promoting, great things can still be happening in it. Like you can still be moving forward in your business, even if like a promotion or it doesn't happen, or even if like your volume isn't going up, like good things can still be happening in that piece of it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done. You better stop asking me questions or else this will go all
I'm not
night.
asking no more. Yes, like for instance, you could have found that runner last month, and guess what? Like that, I always say, you always have something to be thankful for. Like that's so true. And so let's recap, guys. Okay, Kelsey is a huge vision caster who knows what she wants, who dreams big. It's 80% mindset. You just proved that. And it's 20% skill. So you message 50 people a day, you're personal, you're consistent on social media, and you just know exactly what you want. And you dream it and you cast it and you pray big and you don't play small. So that's all of this was so, I have nothing else. I have no.
Well, I love you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
So
I love you, dude. Same. I'm so glad we connected. We're meant to be in each other's lives.
I know.
love you. I love you. Thank you so much for this. And I will send you the recording when I have it up.
Awesome. And thank you guys for hanging in there. I know this was long, but hopefully it blessed you guys.
Worth
Love
it.
you.
Yes, worth it. Thank you, Kelsey. Bye. Bye, guys. Have a good night.